did. I just
Oh,
copied it.
okay.
All right, so we're not streaming yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wait to start until we get that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I assume this, am I in the right spot? Yeah.
No, because.
So if you want, just get it going.
Yeah, let's get it going. Yep.
I'm like, Mike's in charge now.
Sorry. All right.
Thank you.
So in that case, we are calling to order the monthly business meeting, the July monthly meeting at 6:19. Our first item of business on here is the acceptance of the minutes from our June regular business meeting. The minutes were distributed to everyone in advance of the meeting. Does anyone have any corrections to offer on the June minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted as written, and we will move on to public input session number 1.
Okay, I have a few comment cards that came in. Michelle and Seth have been wonderful, kind and helpful, patient, very knowledgeable. Thank you so much. These are two of our librarians, our librarian and assistant. Please bring back the evening activities for adults. I really miss them. I've been going to Colony Library instead because there's nothing here to participate in. Next, I really needed help making copies and printing or sending a fax. Alexandra in PBS was so very helpful in directing me to be successful. Patty McCardle. And Wi-Fi does not work or does not have good range in children's library area. Additional router would help to improve range. These are our comment cards for.
All right. Is there any other public input or? All right. So moving on, the next item on our agenda is personnel actions. We have 2 personnel actions on the agenda. I'll read them. The first is to accept the hiring of Lindsay Fox, library page, effective 6/25/26, and to accept the resignation of Luke Smith, custodian, effective 7/16/26. Do I have a motion to accept these personnel actions, approve these personnel actions? Anyone? Stephanie, in a second. Joe? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Personnel actions are approved. We are on to the treasurer's report. George.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to be the first to say that. We'll start with the statement of revenues and expenses. And we're gonna initially talk about the one that has 6 columns, and the second from the right says year-to-date original budget. And I'll tell you why I included that in addition to the revised budget. So I think just for the month, when we look at the expenses, there's 2 that I'll comment on. Salaries and wages have been running very favorable. And if we look at the year-to-date, you can see that it's been favorable. This month, it was a little bit unfavorable. We had a vacation payout during the month that affected that and really sort of neutralized the favorable variance. And the other one that looks odd as odd can be is line 21 insurance. We had an expense of $3 for the month. And the reason for that is that we prepay all of the insurance usually in June and then amortize it over the year. And last June, when we were doing that, it appeared that there was an invoice missing and we made an estimate of that. And when we closed this out and I reconciled it last week, I noticed that that expense was included in what we paid. So we didn't have that expense. So I reversed that and this is the actual expense. And that was the balance in order to amortize all of the prepaid. So we're still a little unfavorable, but not as unfavorable as we thought we would be. In looking at the variance and the actual year-to-date, they're both the same because our budget is zero and the budget as revised is zero. So we do have an excess for the year. And I guess I look at this and say that that's sort of on a cash basis, the difference between our revenue and expenses. Shortly, we will go through and make certain entries. For example, line 26, there's $71,000 worth of actual expenses that will be capitalized. So that will take it out of expenses and set it up on the balance sheet, and we'll show that as depreciation through a number of years. But at the same time, we'll be making a depreciation entry that will be more than that. So line 32 won't be as much, but I think this is really the measure of how we spent the tax levy, and how the tax levy applied to the different expenses. And, you know, the most favorable, and none of this should be a surprise because we've seen the trend of this through the year, but salary and wages and fringe benefits have been very favorable during the year. I think we cut the budget back a little bit in the year coming up. And line 26, capital improvements, we budgeted 120,000. We had 71, so that was favorable. And we were very lucky on line 30, interest and investment income, that the rates remained more favorable during the year than we expected. We expected that the rates would drop, and they're still, when we look at the investment report, they're still running about 3.5, and CDs are back up around 4%. So, you know, that hasn't dropped off. And I guess when I looked at that, you know, and what happens to that is, you know, I think we found out that the skylight needed to replace, and that's almost that amount. I mean, it's within $20,000 of an estimate that I saw earlier. So, you know, that's the type of thing that it could be used for, basically. Any questions on that page? So the second page and the heading's a little bit messed up, just the way it printed it. So this shows the same actual, and it shows the budget adjustments that were passed last month. These are summarized, so there were certain line items that get combined, and they may have had a couple of budget adjustments. For example, professional fees, I think, had a couple of adjustments, and it comes up with revised budget and the new variance. And I think that's important to make sure that we don't have unfavorable variances, that, you know, that we show that. But I guess I still think it's important to look on page 1, as we just did, to see, you know, when we planned for the year with the budget, how we ended up doing with that. And at first, when I did it and put in the revised budget, it took out $70,000 from the salary line, and that sort of all flowed through the current month. So you really couldn't tell what was happening, against the plan and everything. So I think that we will end up doing budget amendments, but they'll probably come later in the year because even the monthly ones as we go along, as long as we don't exceed the annual budget, then we don't have to amend it. So there'll probably be items that get, possibly amended in maybe the last several months of the year. And on the balance sheet, I don't think there was anything too remarkable there. Looking at line 23, the unrestricted, that has gone up since a year ago because of the excess that we just talked about. At some point, I think that we do have to think about and discuss, and maybe at the next finance committee, we can look again at the change in net position and see if it is something, if only there were a way that we could designate it specifically for future capital improvements or something like that. I think that would just allow a little more transparency so that it's on there as to, what our thoughts are about the excess and how we're going to use it. Any questions on any of those? So the check register Colleen printed before she left for vacation. And I know I looked at it and I didn't see anything too unusual. I will, there's one certain phenomenon. So the check register says from June 13th to July she left. And yet you will see checks later on at the bottom of the second page and the top of the third page that are dated 7/10 through 7/23. So what she does is if there's like program events and different things coming up, rather than cutting the check as of July 3rd, she dates it closer to the actual event. But she does show it on here so that the check numbers are consistent, or sequential, I should say. So there were a number of events coming up that she cut the checks for. And I think part of that was because she knew she'd be away for a while. I think I mentioned before that on the last page, we showed the ACH transactions that we never showed before, and we show payroll. I did happen to read a Office of State Comptroller report on some library, and they were criticized because they were making disbursements that weren't showing up from other accounts, and these are from other accounts. So I think that we kind of did well by doing that when we made the change to QuickBooks. Any questions on any of the disbursements?
All right, I think, do we have a motion to approve the check register? Barb, saw a second. Matt, any discussion on the check register? Then all in favor? Any opposed? No, passes unanimously. Check register is approved.
And the investment report is in your package, nothing unusual. The IntraFi rate, I think, hasn't changed at 3.45. I think we did comment that the last CD that was purchased, so the CDs have kind of been on a slight decline, and the last one that was purchased went from 3.7 when we bought a CD in March up to 4%. So again, rates are kind of staying the same, or in this case, it went up a little bit. That's it. There's always copies of at least one page of the statement, just so that you can see the actual what's in the bank.
Do we have any questions for George? Any other comments before we move on? No? Okay. Next item of business is the director and department heads reports. So I throw this over to Natalie.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I know we talked about a few of these items last month, but just want to highlight that GPL participated in the annual Pride Parade in Albany. We do every year. Corey and I were joined by our outreach librarians, Christina Dady Esposito, Alexander Gibson, and a few other library staff workers, Sarah Boldy, and obviously a bunch of other colleagues across all the libraries. The weather wasn't great, but it's always a nice event. We held our annual staff development day, which was 90s themed. We hosted Officer Hanslick to do our active shooter training, and then department heads each held a mini workshop that staff rotated through. All in all, I thought it was a great day. It was a lot of fun, and personally, like, my favorite in the books. I know we talked about this a lot, but hey, we won an award. We won an award for Flower Fest. It was the Upper Hudson Youth Services and Family Program of the Year Award. I know some board members and some staff went to the event to pick up the award, but just special thanks again to Jocelyn Wilder, Christina Dady Esposito, Brianna Walkowitz, and actually Jason Symington too. Jason actually had a lot to do with Flower Fest. So thank you again to the team for, having such a successful program last year. The rest of the month, the library focused on gearing up for summer reading program. Our outreach librarians and basically all of our youth services librarians made as many school visits as they could to spread the word about SRP and the kickoff. This was actually the first year that we did registration all day and did it on a Saturday. I think it went very, very well. And anecdotally, I heard from patrons that the setup was much better this year, that there weren't long lines, and it was much appreciated. Matt, you were there with Oatmeal. I don't know if you want to, speak to that too, but we're trying to really capitalize off the Flower Fest format. Like, it was just so successful. So anytime we do a large scale program like this, we're probably going to mostly do like we did for Flower Fest. I'm trying to think what. Assembly member Romero was also there. She joined us. She gave out cupcakes. She's actually running her own summer reading program alongside the libraries. She's working with us and Altamont Free Library to do her finale. That's August 22nd. I think it's going to be like a dinosaur egg hunt, and it's going to take place in the literary garden or one of the program rooms if the weather is bad. I did touch base with Brianna, the department head of youth services, about our SRP stats compared to last year. She said that the registration days showed about 850 total registrations, but we keep registration open the entire program. So we're actually right on target from last year too. So that's really nice to see. In the meantime, I was continuing to work on the facilities projects like the skylight and the Crown's House door, but we can discuss that during the facilities committee reports. Given the scheduled absences and unexpected absences in admin department, I spent a lot of time getting retrained on payroll processes and actually ran payroll this week. And luckily, I think I did it correct because people got paid. So I haven't heard any complaints yet. But yeah, I did it successfully. Also, Amy and I have been working to set things up with Lauren Fisher, who's the president of the Friends Group. And I know Mike, had some conversations with her too. We're trying to get the Friends Group officially established. We have events for them to do. There's a lot of people interested in doing it. I know they have a board president, Lauren, and they're trying to work on their bylaws, but they kind of lost steam through the transition with the directorship. So we need to get them focused on their 501c3, their bylaws, and get them a bank account so we can start transitioning off the fundraiser stuff to them. Melissa Tacky is the the youth services and Friends Group kind of liaison in Upper Hudson, and she's got a couple of meetups coming up, but I reached out to her personally just to see if we can just get this started much quicker. Looking ahead for the next couple months, I will be finalizing the Skylight construction grant by the end of August. And believe it or not, it's close to that time of year where we start talking to Marshall and Sterling about healthcare plans and starting planning for open enrollment. So look forward to that. And we're going to continue to meet with personnel and CSEA to try to wrap up the negotiations. And we're working internally with the leadership team on updating our meeting room and study room policies. And we're going to work closely with the governance committee on that. But that's pretty much all I have.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Natalie?
No, thank you for putting that all together. Thanks for the report.
I've got one very random question. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I was looking just through the statistics, the statistic charts that are in the packet. And I noticed on the materials added chart, there's like a spike in June where it goes like way higher than normal for most years. I wondered if there was a reason for that.
Yep, it's all for the summer reading program. So the schools, we wish it was sooner, but the schools send us like the required reading list for the summer. So we buy like a bunch of copies of those and add them to the system.
Okay, the previous years don't show that same huge spike in June on that chart. So I just was curious if there was something different, but that's all.
I'm
Just curious.
assuming what that is, but I can double check with Kathleen and Brianna and Christine to see if there was something different, and I can circle back.
Yeah, it could just be a timing thing too. I don't know. Okay. All right, moving on. We are at the committee reports. This would be the last committee report for many of the last year's committee chair, but we'll go around and see what we have for this month. Finance, anything, Tony? Which meeting?
We happened not to meet. There was nothing pressing, nothing. We already went through all the financials. We saw it in our emails, so everything looks squared.
All right. Personnel?
Personnel, we did meet. Aaron wasn't available at the time. We more kind of just did like a recap of where we were with the CSEA2 contract negotiations, and we're waiting for Aaron to have availability to meet up. So I think that will be handed over to the next committee group of folks, but we are still working on those contract negotiations. So hoping to wrap those up.
All right. Facilities, Bill is not here. I know there was a minutes from their meeting. They're in the packet. There's actually a couple motions coming out of that committee that we're going to address later on in old and new business. Does any other member of the facilities committee have anything they want to add or say at this point?
I've got nothing to add beyond what's in the minutes.
Okay. Governance, that one's me. We had discussed a couple policies, some things that Natalie had brought to the committee of things that the committee is going to look into, some possible amendments to the meeting rooms policy and possibly to the security camera policy. And then we worked on revisions to the bylaws. The committee made some substantial progress on the bylaws updates, but didn't kind of finish the work. So hopefully all of those things are things that are going to be tackled by the incoming governance committee shortly. So next, board development didn't have anything, right? That's, okay. Friends that didn't exist yet. Foundation, any anything to do with the foundation? No meeting. UHLS, I don't know if Corey, is that still you or is that?
It's technically Joe now.
Okay, has there been a meeting?
There was a meeting I was unable to attend because of a prior work commitment.
All right. And then the new director, the ad hoc committee for the director search. You want to?
Sure, it didn't get sent out until today, but we do have a draft of the job description. We discussed kind of what we wanted. The committee did meet. And I would say if there are comments that you would like to share now about the job description, that's great. But if not, if you can send any comments that you want into the group, maybe within the week. So we can make any edits before it gets publicized. And the only other comment that I'll be making is that I am sending out a message to the staff just to let them know where we're at in the process with this because the staff is invested and has asked for this report back.
All right. So that is it for our committee reports. So that will bring us on to old business. The first item on old business is the long-range plan, and in your packet, you will find the long-range plan that the committee, the ad hoc long-range plan committee had put together. And so I think that we are putting that up for a vote for adoption as the library's new long-range plan for the next 3 years.
Yes, the committee has come to agreement on everything that's in the long-range plan. We made some final edits at our last meeting. The reason that there's not a vote out of the committee, like Mike said, is it's ad hoc. We had 2 staff members plus the director on this committee, and so we can't technically vote, but we have all come to agreement on this as the plan. So I would ask for a motion to approve this, if you want to do that first, or if you would like to have this done first.
Yeah, I think we should make the motion. We'll get that on the floor. Sorry, so do you want to make that motion or?
Sure, I will move that we approve the long-range plan 2026 to 2029.
All right. Do we have a second?
Alicia.
All right, so motion on the floor is to adopt this as the library's new long-range plan for the next 3 years. Do we have discussion?
The only thing I want to do is like thank the participants from the staff that were a part of this because their perspectives were incredibly helpful. So
Put a bunch of time into.
they put a bunch of time into it. So Christina Ronald and Michelle Boydell participated in this process and were helpful. Pete also was a part of it, and Natalie has stepped in recently as well.
Okay. If there's no more comments, then we'll have a vote. All in favor of adopting this as the new long-range plan, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, it is adopted. We now have a long-range plan, long overdue, but finally
Good job.
raised. So.
Thanks for all your hard work, Corey. Corey did a ton of work on that.
Yes. Thank you very much, Corey. Appreciate it very much. So moving on, the next is the BRM contract. So this is the skylight repair replacement, I guess. And it's in your packet. There is a kind of their standard contract and then the addendum that lists all the kind of personalizations of that contract for our particular skylight replacement. So I think we just need a motion to approve Natalie to enter into this contract, to sign the contract. That's where we're at, right?
Yep.
All right. And actually, do we have, I think we had a motion coming out of the committee, right?
Yeah, there's language in.
Let me find that real quick because I believe there was a resolution right here. Resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the architect engineer contract included in the meeting minutes between GPL and BRM to replace the skylight and authorizes the acting director or the president of the Board of Trustees to sign the contract. So that is a motion from the committee. So do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Corey. Is there any discussion of the skylight contract? No discussion. All right, then put up for a vote. All in favor of adopting that resolution as stated? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, it is adopted. So Natalie's listed as the signatory, so she can go ahead and sign that and you can get moving on that. Excellent, fantastic. I think, oh yes, so the next is this, the second resolution. So this, what's that?
We call it seekers.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's it's the State Environmental Quality Review Act. There's a resolution. Do I need to read this in the resolution? So I can, if anyone would like me to read it into record here, I can do that, but it's in the packet. And it's, just to summarize, it's basically us saying that basically this doesn't fall within something that needs further review under secret, so we can, we're just, declaring that no further review is required. But, if everyone's had a chance to review that in the packet. All right. Do we have a motion to adopt this resolution? Barb, do we have a second? Joe. All right, any discussion? Everybody? Nope. All right, then put it up for a vote. All in favor of adopting the resolution?
Okay.
Any opposed? All right, the resolution is adopted. Is there any other old business?
We have, the other resolutions coming out of the facilities committee regarding the council store. We want to continue exploring, moving that to, local
Yeah.
historic associations.
We could do that now. I was gonna throw that on new business just because it's not something the board as a whole has discussed before, so I
Sure.
thought like sit there, but. Why don't we, let's hop onto new business and. I'll just tack that at the end of new business. We'll come to that. So new business, is some of our annual things we need to take care of, including the board meeting dates, the dates for this committee, or I mean, board. And in your packet, you'll see our normal meeting date is the third Thursday of every month, but you'll see that there's 3 months here where there's been a modification of that. February, the third Thursday falls within the school February vacation, so that's been suggested to bump that to the following week. March, it says book sale previous week. Does anybody
I
speak to
put
that?
that in there because of the book sale falling on the same week as our board meeting was very taxing for everyone.
Okay,
Is it scheduled already for 27?
It has not been scheduled yet, but since we've done it annually, we are
anticipating.
anticipating that. I already have it saved in the room.
Okay, so the anticipation is that
That's when it's going
that
to
book
be.
sale will be happening then, so that we want to bump the board meeting to avoid having it happening right when we're prepping for the book sale.
Yes, and then the May one is,
And then the May is the board, we want to move our meeting before the election, so in case there's any, is that the idea?
Yep.
The last minute things that need to be addressed, we have a meeting before the election takes place.
is
All right,
One thing regarding, November 20th is a Friday.
oh, did I? have to go on
Oh,
the-
So we want to adjust that to the 19th.
good catch, very good catch.
Did you not know?
Missing calendar.
It's my kid's birthday and I didn't even know.
Yes, I'll change that.
All right, I'm looking here, so, we'll make that November 19th, and then do we have a motion to adopt these meeting dates for the, carrying us through until next July's annual meeting? Anyone have a motion to adopt those? Bethany, second?
Second.
From Matt. Is there any discussion? Anyone have any additional concerns or amendments or anything to the?
Just a question.
Yes.
Oftentimes we don't have a meeting in December, so that's still possible, right?
Yeah, so I think what we've done in some years is we keep it on, like, we didn't do it this year, right?
No, the last 2 years we
Yeah.
canceled it.
Yeah.
Keep it on just
So
in case there's.
we'll keep
just
it
in
on
case
to
it's
hold the
yes.
date in case we need it, but, depending, we can always decide potentially at the November meeting or at some other time to cancel that if we think it's not pressing.
Right.
But,
And the same with the August meeting. Sometimes we don't have the August meeting.
yeah, I think we've had it in previous, the last bunch of years, but possibly just because there's been too much stuff going on. Yes,
May 14th is also a Friday.
All right, okay. All
Okay,
right.
Joe.
So
You want to be here on Friday?
let's
Go ahead.
Let's call.
Wait, there's another one that's a Friday?
It should be May 13th.
All right, so we'll call that a amendment.
That's a friendly
yeah,
amendment.
okay.
Amendment to May 13th. Do we have a second, Joe's amendment of the May 14th to May 13th?
I have my own amendment.
All right. So then the motion on the table is these dates with, we had changed the November 20th to November 19th, and then we just had an amendment offered to change May 14th to May 13th. And then the other dates are as listed in the material. Any further comments? No, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay, that's our calendar. Good. All right, thanks, everyone. Next item is the committee assignments. Now, I had circulated previously, it's in the packet, and we had circulated a list of proposed committee assignments. I've had one request of a swap on these committees, and it is for Matt on the governance committee is going to trade spots with Joe on the finance committee. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So Matt will now be on the finance committee and Joe will now be on the governance committee. So that is a swap there. Nominations committee, we already approved, so that's not up for a vote right now because that's already taken care of. A couple things really quickly. Ad hoc committees, we had, under our bylaws, ad hoc committees automatically expire at the end of the president's term. So our existing ad hoc committees have technically, with the election of new officers, those are gone. The existing ad hoc committees we had coming into here was the Director Search Committee, which I'm putting on here to reauthorize that committee, to keep that going, obviously, because it just started. Then we have the Board Development Committee, Long Range Planning Committee. Now, Long Range Planning is done for now. We're not going to need that hopefully for another 2 years or so. Board Development, I wanted to put that before the board, whether people think that we want that committee going forward. One of their tasks this year was getting our trustee education policy up and going. The Board Development Committee could theoretically, serve other purposes of organizing or publicizing trustee education, because UHLS offers trustee education. In the past, we've set things up with them to conduct that, and that could be a job of the Board Development Committee. Or potentially could have the role of organizing a board retreat or some sort of, board, board building kind of things. In the past, I don't think, we've had a Board Development Committee do a little bit of, the trustee education stuff. I don't know if it's necessary to be a ad hoc committee or if people want to have that or think it would be good to have that, or if we just forget that, we can just try and keep people appraised of education opportunities as they come up. Does anyone have any strong opinions on that?
It's not a strong opinion, but in years past, Board of Life was an Amy's position because they get all this stuff from Upper Hudson and Library Council, and they would just shoot out an email, saying this is available at such a time. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of online trainings that are available, so I can try and make it up for two, but we can try and just circulate those periodically to the board so people know when there's things available that they can do. I don't know if we need to take up people's time with another committee meeting for it. That's all. I just want to be cognizant that every time we have another committee on here, that's more meetings and more people's time that gets taken up from that. So unless anyone has a strong opinion, otherwise I'm not going to reappoint a Board Development Committee. So our only ad hoc committee at the moment would just be the Director Search Committee to continue that work.
And we have to vote to dissolve do we have to vote to dissolve the two ad hocs?
No, that happens automatically.
Perfect.
Yep, so that happens automatically, so we don't need to worry about that. Then the other thing, and I know I'd written some of this, but in the thing I sent out asking about people's interest in different positions, but outside appointments, we have Joe already has taken on the role of the UHLS representative. Elish is going to continue as the liaison to the foundation. We're adding a couple new positions. One is the liaison to the Friends Group, as Natalie mentioned, the Friends Group, we're trying to kind of help them get up and running. And they're going to hopefully be playing a big role in book sale and possibly other volunteering opportunities. And so we want to have a board member who can be the liaison to kind of coordinate and work with them. And Bill had volunteered to take on that role. The last two positions are, there's a suggestion, and this was something that Matt had originally kind of spearheaded and brought up, was liaisons with the other public boards in the town board and the school board. Having someone that can kind of be the library's representative that acts as a liaison with those boards. I mentioned this, I think, in something that what I had said out about this is, I have a little hesitance on this only because it can be a big time demand for someone to attend those meetings. School board meetings run pretty long, and the town board meets twice a month, and those can run long as well. And so it's a lot of demand, especially that most of the business that's happening there is going to have nothing to do with the library. It'll only be the occasional item. But Joe and Matt had both volunteered and wanted to kind of take on that role. So I'm kind of considering this a trial position that we'll kind of see how it works. And if we find out after we get into it that it's a lot more time than it's worth for the benefit to this board, we can reconsider. But we're going to kind of give that a shot and see if that helps us kind of to be more in touch with things that may be relevant to the library that are going on at the school or in the town generally. And so that's the plan here. So that is the current the slate I'm putting forward for our standing committees, with that one swap of Matt for Joe on the Governance and Finance Committee, and the Director Search Committee will continue as it has been, and the outside appointments that I just went through. So that's everything there. So do I have a motion to approve all of those committee appointments and outside appointments? Yes. Alish. Okay. A second. Anyone? Do I have a second?
Sure.
Copy, I saw.
Give it to Tony.
All right. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah. Are you assigning chairs?
No, because I'll get to that. Our bylaws actually specify how that
Yeah.
that works. So I'll discuss it. That actually is done by the committees themselves. So I'll speak on that in after we kind of get the committees all set. But good question. Any other comments, questions, discussion? All right. Let's have a vote then. All in favor of approving this set of appointments to committees and outside appointments?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, the committees are established for the year going forward. Thank you. So on that, a couple quick comments on that. One is our practice, at least I think in the last 2 years, has been for every committee to have a regular monthly meeting date and time. And obviously those sometimes change based on availability or conflicts or, whatever. But I think that's been a very useful practice to have a regularly scheduled meeting every month. And so I would like to ask each committee at the earliest possible time, it could be right after this meeting ends, if you are able to just confer with the other members of your committee and see if you can agree on a date or time, or do it over email or whatever. But as soon as possible, confer with your fellow committee members and choose a regular monthly meeting date so that we can get those kind of set and ready. So that's my first request to each of these committees. The second thing is, under our bylaws, it specifies, it says, each committee shall select and appoint a trustee chair from its membership at the first meeting of the year. So basically, when you meet, that should be your first order of business. When you have your very first meeting, just, you can decide, take a quick vote on who's going to be the chair of the committee. So get that set. And then once that's done, please inform me or you can inform everybody, or whatever, however you want to do it, but just let us know who gets selected as chair so we know how that is going.
And I know you're going to know this, so you can only serve as the chair of a committee for 2 years, correct?
And under our bylaws, currently, you can only be the chair of a particular committee for 2 consecutive years. So if anyone is on a committee that they've already been chair of for 2 consecutive years, just know that you are term limited out for the moment of being the chair again on that committee. And so that's it for that. One last thing I just want to say before we move on is minutes of committees. And I'll say this before you volunteer to be the chair, just so you know, this is something that I'm hoping that we will try and make a push to be better on this. But under our bylaws, committee chairs are required within 2 weeks of a meeting to submit minutes of that meeting. And it's not just a bylaws requirement, that's actually a legal requirement under the open meetings law for committees. That committees are supposed to, we're supposed to actually publish them within 2 weeks, the minutes of committee meetings. And we've, kind of inconsistently adhered to that in the past. And so I'm hoping that going forward, we can try and really stick to that. I would say, 2 weeks is what the law and our bylaws requires. But if we have our board meeting coming up in less than 2 weeks, I would love if people could try and get it done even sooner so that we can try every month to have board minutes ready before, in the board packet before our monthly meetings, because it just help everyone to be on the same page and knowing what's going on in all the committees. So that's the hope. This is my request, and we'll see how that goes.
Just a side note to that, I'm gonna be sending everybody, there's new style for the meeting minutes for committees.
Oh.
Because the ones we currently have are not accessible for people to see online. They need to adhere to a certain style, basically. So it's very easy, and I'll share that with everybody.
Great, great. Okay, that's excellent. All right. So next item of business is the holiday and closings calendar for 2027. So again, in your packet, we have a list of all the holidays and early closings that are on the schedule. Do we have any, do we have a motion to adopt the holiday schedule as provided in the packet? Motion to.
So are we voting on the regular hours or just the holiday closures?
I believe, these hours are not changed, right? This is our current hours. This is the same, is it?
Yep,
Great.
the only difference in this is our staff development day. We request to move it to a Friday to impact the community to a lesser extent, because we close at 6. Because typically we close for the whole day for staff development day. That way, it's not an evening that people are expecting us to be open for.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess we can do the hours and the holidays.
The reason that I asked about it is because I know there's been discussion of Sundays in the summer, off and on through various different committees. And as we have new leadership, we can always change this if that decision is made. So we can approve everything now of being open on Sundays in the summer.
Oh, the discussion of that, yeah, but that's not something, that's something that'll require a bit of.
Yeah, so I just didn't know if we were actually approving the top part too, or if we were just approving the bottom part. That's all. That's maybe
Yeah.
that doesn't make.
So I don't recall, I think we typically have approved the hours, right? That has been something we voted on as part of the annual meeting in the past. I'm trying to
It
remember.
says holidays and closings.
It
so
says
that's why-
holidays and closing, but I kind of feel like we did vote on that in the past to approve the hours as well, but maybe it was only.
That was
when
because we made a
changes.
change.
Yeah, I
That's
think nothing's changing. I don't think we got to
Okay.
vote on that. I don't think we did last.
I don't think so either.
Well, those would be contractual.
All right.
Holidays when it falls.
Library has the authority to change.
Yeah,
Hours might appear in the contracts.
But we.
Yeah, I think.
I
don't
think,
think
I guess, the holidays, it's like, we've only approved, the.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, that was weird semantics, but.
No, it's a good question. Yeah, so I think this is, we are just voting at this point on the holidays. I think you're right. I think if there is a decision to change the hours, that'll be something we address at that time. We'll deal with the hours, but since nothing's changing, we don't need to, approve anything there. So it's just the holidays for 2027. So, I guess I'm asking, do we have a motion to approve the holiday schedule for 2027? Alish. And in a second, Joe. Any discussion on the holiday schedule? Okay, all in favor of approving this holiday schedule?
Okay.
Any opposed? Right, it is approved. All right, so the next two items are resolutions to make Matt and Bethany signatories as new board officers, elected board officers. So it's not that long. I will read the resolutions. They're the same except for one.
We gonna vote together on them or? Like,
I think we'd probably do them separately, right? First one in my packet is Bethany's. I know that's different from the order on the agenda.
Fine.
How do you pronounce your?
Stoyer.
Stoyer. Okay, just making sure.
oh,
Resolution to add Bethany Stoyer as a signer on NBT bank account. Now therefore be it resolved that Bethany Stoyer in her capacity as trustee officer of the Willow Public Library is hereby appointed as a check signer at NBT Bank. The undersigned hereby certifies that they are the duly elected, qualified and acting, this is vice president, but it should be president because I'm signing it. So let me change that. Duly elected, qualified and acting president of the Gilderland Public Library, and that the foregoing resolution was submitted to and approved and adopted by the Board of Trustees at a meeting held on July 16, 2026, and that said resolution is now in full force and effect without modification or recession as permitted under the bylaws of the library. Witness whereof the undersigned is here unto set their hand effective this 16th day of July, 2026. So that is the resolution, which I will move that we adopt this resolution. We have a second.
Second.
Second, I heard Matt. Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. The resolution is adopted. I will sign this.
Didn't I give you in the packet the red?
Oh, yes. Oh, that's right. See this.
I have to switch Bethany's to secretary.
What's that?
That's where it says that she was qualified and acting vice president. That was Matt's. I did his first and I didn't switch it
Oh,
out.
It's
It's not supposed to be you, it's supposed to be them.
well, it says the undersigned, which is me.
I think that that's left over from when Alicia needed to sign me in for something.
I copied it from Bill, so
Oh.
Because
that's why I'm confused.
because I'm the undersigned, I'm the one signing it.
Yeah,
And it says the undersigned certifies that they're the duly elected, qualified and active. So that
That's
should be
you.
president, that should be me.
Yeah.
So I think we changed them both to say president instead of. vice
okay,
president.
I will do.
Do we want to reprint these so that it's printed that way or?
Yeah, I will.
or- or
Yeah,
like
and then I'll have you, or whatever, whichever you want to do. You're the lawyer.
I mean, I can just cross out vice and initial it and then
Okay.
sign it there. Just, yeah. So we approved. All right, so we approved Bethany's. So now I will read from that. Resolution to add Matthew Bruner as a signer on NBT bank account. Now therefore be it resolved that Matthew Bruner, in his capacity as trustee officer of Gilderland Public Library, is hereby appointed as a check signer at NBT Bank. The undersigned hereby certifies that they are the duly elected, qualified, and acting president of the Gilderland Public Library, and that the foregoing resolution was submitted to and approved and adopted by the Board of Trustees at a meeting held on July 16, 2026, and that said resolution is now in full force and effect without modification or recession as permitted under the bylaws of the library. In witness whereof, the undersigned has hereunto set their hand effective this 16th day of July, 2026. So I will move to adopt that resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Bethany. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, the resolution is adopted. We'll initial change of removing vice president and sign it.
Is there a process for removing signatories?
There's a process for both, yeah.
Well, do we,
Yeah.
does that?
When Colleen gets back, she will help guide us because it's a bit of a thing with the bank and you have to go. and take care. I don't know the ins and outs of it 100%.
So that is, okay, that's that. The last thing, it wasn't on the agenda, but it's the Crown's House door, where there was a resolution coming out of the Facilities Committee. So I will read the resolution that was adopted by the Facilities Committee. Resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the acting director to work with local historical associations that might be interested in displaying the Crown's House door in an appropriate setting. So that is the resolution that was approved. So we have basically a motion from the Facilities Committee to adopt that resolution. Do we have a second on that motion?
Seconded.
Corey. Is there any discussion? Do we need an explanation of this because it's coming out of committees?
Just had a question.
Yes.
How come they took it out of the West? What was the reason?
Because nobody can see it.
Nobody
Yes,
sees it in the
I
Westbrook
think
room.
the idea was, that it's not in a place where it's publicly accessible at all, so it's kind of just.
Yeah, it hasn't been moved yet. It's still there, and it's now, that room has been reclaimed by the library because we opened up Norman Scale, so it's not used for the public. So.
Yeah,
So
but
I
it's
think-
locked, so you can't, if you wanted to go see
See
the
it, you can't
historical
even go in.
significance. of it.
So I think the idea is we have a piece of kind of historical memorabilia here, this like a local history thing, and nobody can actually see it on any normal basis. So if there's some other place in town that wants it and is able to display it in a way that's more accessible, it might make sense to transfer it to someplace for that purpose. I think that's the idea. So, any further comments, discussion on this? Okay, well, then I put it up to a vote to adopt that resolution. All in favor? Any opposed? No, it is adopted, so Natalie has that authority. That's the last thing I had on new business. Is there any additional new business? Nothing. All right. Moving on, public input session number 2. Do we have any additional public input?
I do.
We do not. Board comment. Do we have anyone have anything they may want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one last thing about the skylight along the way, that we had pieces, this is in our minutes as well. We had glass samples that came from the architect that we got an opportunity to look at. We put it up to the staff to take a vote on it. And I think you mentioned overwhelmingly, there's just a slightly darker blue, a little bit darker than this. It's very, very nice to see in the bright light. And that's what I think we're moving forward with.
Yeah. Good. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. It's done.
Yes.
Any other? Yes, Barb.
Thank you to Cory for all her leadership over the last couple of years. Thank you.
I was gonna say thanks to Mike for hosting the library barbecue. That was very cool.
Happy that you got a pretty good attendance, so that was, so. Any other comments before we wrap up? Yeah. No? All right, we do have need for executive session. And this is, I will make a motion where the motion is to enter executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law. Do we have a second motion to enter executive session for that purpose? From Barb, we have a second. Any discussion? No. All in favor of going to the executive session? Any opposed? No. All right, we will now enter executive session.
Did you